Hello and thanks for joining us on this week's edition of Galaxy Line, your weekend delight. I am Segun Aderiye. Welcome to the show. Today on Galaxy Line, I bring you a man from the ivory tower, a teacher of teachers who is not just an erudite professor, but who also eminently qualifies as an astute university administrator. My guest today is a professor of mass communication who for many years held sway as head of the Department of Mass Communication, University of Lagos. Currently, he is still in the Department of Mass Communication, but now serves as the chairman, Center of Excellence in Multimedia and Cinematography of Radio Unilag 103.1 FM. Please welcome Professor Raph Akinfeleye. Prof.
Thank you very much.
Welcome to Galaxy
Good
Line.
morning.
Welcome.
To our listeners at home.
Yes, our discussion shall follow a three-dimensional pattern. First, we will take a cursory look at the general state of the nation. Then we shall examine in particular the Nigerian university system. And of course, we will not forget Prof's core field of academic pursuit, which is mass communication and mass media and society. We'll take a short break now. We'll be back in a moment. Welcome back. In case you are just tuning in, the program you are on to is Galaxy Line, and my guest is the one and only Professor Raph Akinfeleye of the University of Lagos. Now, very quickly, let's see how we go. The general state of the nation, I think we should start from there. A lot is wrong with us as a nation at the moment, and the question I'd like to ask is, which area really pisses you off most?
Well, the economy, of course. As you are aware, if $1 is now selling for 370, it is pathetic.
How does that affect you as a lecturer?
Of course, we go for international conferences. We pay for membership fees. We buy journal in foreign exchange. And so if I have to go to the market and buy dollar at the rate of $1 equivalent to 370, 360 naira, it is very sad indeed. And also, it appears to me that at the moment, Nigeria is expressing the state of recession. And we pray that we don't metamorphose from the state of recession to state of depression. And when we get to depression, it's going to be very serious. And I hope the current administration of President Buhari should examine and also look into his campaign promises, i.e. change, better life for the people. And I think we should start. And let us understand the money they have recovered now. Let us plant that money into a productive venture and raise the economy.
Yeah, Prof.
It is good to fight corruption, but in fighting corruption, as soon as we'll be able to recover the money from them, we should now invest the money in profitable ventures so that it can lessen the problem,
the pain
of
right.
people.
And
the politicians will say they feel our pain. They don't feel our pain at all. What are they talking about? Feel our pain? If they feel our pain, they will not be doing what we're having at the moment. The pain is on the masses. And any politician telling me that he feels our pain, that is baloney.
You once described Nigeria's democracy as rickety and adulterated. What exactly are you talking about?
Well,
I quoted you from one of your speeches.
Yes, if you say Nigeria has democracy at the moment, with due respect, we don't have any democracy. To say the least, we have adulterated democracy.
Rickety democracy.
Yes. And also, we call ourselves the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I don't think we are, as I will say, we are not federally republic country, and there is no, we don't practice what they call true federalism. What we're practicing is adulterated federalism, adulterated democracy. And when you over-centralize everything, it cannot work in a federal system. Take, for instance, the issue of Boko Haram. If, for instance, we have been operating through federalism and we now have state police in the northeast, they are better equipped to give early warning signal than what we have at the moment. When police central, NEPA is central, or PCI is central, it cannot work. Nigeria has overgrown. So anybody talking that we are not ripe for establishment of state police, that person must be living in full paradise. If you are going to operate through federalism, through democracy, it is important for us to decentralize. So much power vested in the federal government. Take, for instance, the issue of this scrapping of JAM.
I'll get back to that. I'll get back to that.
Okay.
We'll take it one step after the other. Before we zero in on the universities proper, let me ask you your perspectives on the general state of education in Nigeria.
Well, in recent times, especially in the last administration, it was education for gain and not education for growth. I think this present administration is trying to relocate and change it to education for growth rather than education for gain. But in the process of doing that one, it appears to me that some people are not trying to cooperate. For instance, I read in the paper today the issue of Puja. Should that be an issue at all? Should that be an issue? We all went to schools. And I have a Muslim and a Christian and a traditionalist in my class. What is that? That's a mundane thing to be discussing in this period. And those people who are making sure we follow one uniform on the other, they don't know the concept uniform. That is, everybody in that aggregation must be dressed in such a way. What is the issue of Punjab? I mean, let us get out from this kind of mundane thing and let our leaders be able to lead us aright. And there are so many fundamental issues in the education system that they should face now. And that reminds me that the federal government is also at fault, the federal, especially the last administration. How can you be setting up universities as if you are establishing petrol stations? Universities are not, they are capital intensive. It knows how many universities or polytechnics or colleges of education you have. That matters. It's the quantity, the quality that matters, not the quantity. So you are setting out universities on political basis. You say each state must have one university. Nonsense. You have universities and there's no functioning. You just go to a small primary school, say, I proclaim this a university. The product will not be comparable with other those. Why can't you use the money that you are using to establish these universities to support the existing one and let them be there and be able to make sure they are at the same standard with other universities in more developed countries of the world. So, especially the type of courses they are offering, these are capital intensive. Okay. For instance, once you set up a university or polytechnic, the first thing is mass comm. Mass comm is capital intensive. It is not just setting up chair and student. You need a lot of money, you need a lot of capital investment, you need a lot of manpower, and the instrument, the equipment in your laboratory or studio, they fluctuate every hour and the hour. You need money. So it's not just setting up a university that matters, mass comm. What are you talking about? Besides our own, I'm sorry, with due respect, and maybe one other or two other programs, they are not studying mass comm. If nothing that they are studying communicative, not communication.
Now, there has been a measure of stability
Yeah.
in the universities in terms of industrial harmony and all that.
Yep.
And recently, the Academic Staff Union of Nigerian Universities have been that union has been spitting fire. They've talked about removal of vice chancellors, 13 of them, that were brought up by the last civilian government, and then poor funding of the universities. 1.3 trillion was promised to be injected into the universities. I hear only about 200 billion has just been redeemed out of the 1.3 trillion. And watchers of events within the universities are beginning to imagine another round of strikes looming. Do you see that way?
Well, with the present economic difficulty we're facing, it will be premature for us to say we want to go on strike. Go on strike for what? Then it is normal thing for them to budget 1.3 trillion and release part of. It is for the Ministry of Education and the NUC to educate our lawmakers, because it appears to me many of them don't understand how education should be. They don't understand that when you have a university or a polytechnic, you must be able to finance it properly. You must be able to address the manpower development of that university. But at the moment, it appears to me they don't have that something. But our political leaders have joy in investing in hooliganism, in investing on rigging of elections, manipulation of elections. They don't want to invest on education. And education is central to any meaningful democracy. Education is also an accelerator of sustainable democracy. And a country that fails to promote and support education is, in my judgment, not a fit and proper nation to exist. Because education is very, very central to any meaningful development. And education should no longer be for gain. It should be for growth, to develop your intellectual capacity, to make you to be able to add value to the existence of your community, to make you to be able to assist government and leaders, to make you to be able to educate and tell the lawmakers what they should be doing. Tell the policymakers what they should be doing. Tell the judiciary what they should be doing, and so on and so forth. But when you now carve education to the point that you are not supporting with education, and by the way, my dear producer, if you look at the Nigerian Constitution, education is on concurrent list. That is both federal or state. But with the event happening in recent times, where states can no longer even pay salaries
of their workers.
And for their workers, then they now go to federal government to be getting money, to getting loan and bail them out. And in bailing them out, the government, the governors, some of them got the money and they didn't pay workers. To the point that just recently we read in the paper, one of the rascals came out, the people were on strike. He said he's also on strike. And that is ridiculous. People are dying every hour on the hour.
Okay.
And he said, why can't you invest? And again, let me tell you, you got money from the federal government, go and pay your workers. You refuse to pay your workers. They said that was not even 5 months. They said, please pay us 3 months. We can understand what is going on. You are not ready to pay them 3 months. On the other hand, you say you want to establish an airplane, an airport. That is nonsense. What do you lose the airport for when people are suffering? We have
Okay.
a problem.
Now,
And the problem is with our leaders.
Yeah, let's get back to
Yes.
the university system we're talking about.
Yeah.
Now, do we really need more universities in Nigeria?
At the moment, the answer...
In the true sense of it.
We have 175 million Nigerians. And at the moment, 140 universities, in my judgment, are not just enough. They need more. But in getting more, let us stabilize what we have first.
Okay.
Don't rush it. They have not gotten to rush hour to the extent that the new universities cannot be able to function as true universities. Two, the debasement of the education, there's no standard, there's no quality assurance in most of these new universities. And especially those that are owned by private people, except maybe one or two. Or even worse at the state level. It's now a commercial proposition. A proprietor owning a school, when it's broke, he just increase the school fees. When it's broke, he gets, okay, a special fund. Go home and tell your parents to pay more for development, for this, for that. These universities are not run in that kind of concept.
But if
there is no quality control.
If there are
and that's
private...
why the NUC should come up and be able to regulate, since they are the regulator, and regulate it properly. A university is a university. I don't know why we are just changing the system. A state is now having agricultural university, educational university, medical university. They may be very soon they have communication university. That will just be doing communication alone. It doesn't work.
That way.
Yeah, that way. What will work is when you look at aggregation, the need, what they need. And you don't have to specialize in all the courses. You take a university, maybe they can specialize in one or two disciplines, and we know them for. Like we're talking about law, we're talking about mass comm. What comes to your mind anywhere in this country is UNILAG. Then we're talking about agriculture, then what comes to our mind will be another university that is there. You cannot talk about agriculture and say UNILAG, we don't even offer agric as a course.